Hello! So you've just started Final Fantasy XIV, you've created your Warrior of Light, and now you're stuck on picking a job. You saw how scholars can grow wings now, and you think to yourself, I want to do that. So you became a scholar. Scholar is a pretty cool healer that summons fairies, and is a barrier healer. This job has a ton of utility, and can provide very strong shields with no issue to the party. The job itself didn't change too much in Dawntrail, so let's take a look. Let's start with your healing spells. Physic is your single target healing spell, and unlike Summoner, it actually does decent healing. However, Physic should mainly be used as a last resort as you have a ton of abilities that can do stronger heals, or if you're below level 45. Since you don't have that many abilities yet, Adloquium is a single target barrier spell that'll put a shield on your target. If Adloquium crit heals, it'll apply a second shield on top. Succor is an AoE barrier spell that'll apply shields to yourself and nearby party members. There is no second shield if Succor crit heals. At level 58, you'll learn Emergency Tactics. This will make your next Adlo or Succor turn their shields into a peer heal. Emergency Tactics is really good if you need to heal someone or the whole party in a pinch. Moving on to your DPS spells, Ruin is your main DPS spell that upgrades to Broil at level 54. At level 38, you'll learn Ruin 2, which is not an upgrade to Ruin. Ruin 2 is a separate button from Ruin and is an instant cast. Ruin 2 is pretty much only used for movement, as it does lower damage than your normal Ruin. Art of War is your AoE spell that is an instant cast, and you need to be in melee range for. Art of War is actually a gain on a single target. As while it does the same damage as your normal Ruin, it's an instant cast, allowing you to weave your abilities a lot easier. Just make sure to go back to using Broil at level 54, as it does more damage than Art of War. Bio is your damage overtime spell that'll put a dot on a single target for 30 seconds. You should aim to keep this dot up all the time, and aim to refresh it when it's at 3 seconds or below. At level 66, you'll learn Change Stratagem. This will apply a debuff on your target for 20 seconds, that makes them more susceptible to critical hits by 10%. This is your 2-minute buff, and should be pressed off cooldown. At level 92, whenever you use Change Strat, it'll change to Baneful Impaction, which puts a really strong dot on your target and nearby enemies for 15 seconds. At level 45, you'll learn Aetherflow. This will restore 2000 MP and give you 3 stacks of Aetherflow, which can be used on a few abilities. Lustrate is a strong single target heal, while Indomitability is an AoE heal that you learn at level 52. At level 50, you can use Sacred Soil. This is a placeable bubble that will reduce damage taken for yourself and nearby party members by 10% for 15 seconds, as long as you're in the bubble. At level 78, Sacred Soil will also apply a regen effect to anyone inside the bubble. Sacred Soil is really good for mitigating the party from raid-wide attacks or damaging mechanics. At level 62, you can use Excogitation. This will apply a buff that lasts for 45 seconds on a targeted party member. If their HP falls below 50% or the duration expires, it'll give a very strong heal. Excog is super good to give to tanks while they're tanking a mob pull or before a tank buster. You can also give it to someone who just got raised in order to get their HP up quickly, as Excog will instantly pop if the target's HP is below 50% already. Energy Drain is a single target attack that also restores a little HP. You should aim to use your Aetherflow for healing as much as possible. If you need that extra bit of DPS and you know you don't need the heals, then feel free to use Energy Drain. Otherwise, you should use Energy Drain in order to spend your Aetherflow stacks before the Aetherflow button comes off cooldown, as you don't want to overwrite the stacks. As a scholar, you have access to your main summon, Eos. She should be summoned at the start of any content that you do, and like Summoner, if you die, Eos gets desummoned, and you need to resummon her when you get back up. Eos will give out a single target heal called Embrace every 3 seconds to the lowest HP party member. You can also have Eos execute a few different abilities. Whispering Dawn will have Eos give a regen to yourself and nearby party members for 21 seconds. Fey Illumination will have Eos reduce magic damage taken by 5% and increase healing magic potency by 10% for yourself and nearby party members for 20 seconds. Whispering Dawn is good to use when the party needs a bit of healing, while Fey Illumination is really good to help mitigate the party from raid-wide attacks that are magic-based or damaging mechanics. At level 76, you can have Eos use Fey Blessing, which is an AoE heal that's pretty good. At level 70, anytime you use one of your Aetherflow abilities, it'll increase your fairy gauge by 10. This gauge has a cap of 100, and you could spend the resource on Aether Pact. This will tether Eos to a targeted party member and will give them a strong regen that drains the fairy gauge by 10 every 3 seconds. Aether Pact is really good to help heal a tank during a mob pull or to help heal party members. At level 80, you can use Summon Seraph to summon a Seraph for 22 seconds. This Seraph will do the same things as Eos, except her single target heal, Seraphic Veil, will give a small shield as well. With Seraph active, you can use Constellation, which is a small AoE heal that also applies shields. You also have 2 charges of Constellation. Seraph is really good when you need a boost to your healing and shielding, as her shields do stack with yours. At level 100, and with Eos or Seraph active, you can use Seraphism. This will make you grow wings and give a regen to yourself and nearby party members for 20 seconds. It'll also change your barrier spells into different versions that are stronger and are instant casts. Adloquium will change to Manifestation, and Concitation will change to Accession. Seraphism will also make emergency tactics have a 1-second cooldown, meaning you can spam it to do a ton of pure healing really fast. Seraphism can be really good for when you need a ton of healing or shielding for either a really dangerous mechanic or when you really need to recover the party's HP. By the way, if you don't like Eos, want to bring back Celine, or replace her with a carbuncle, you could do so using the /pat glamour command. Before we go on, if you're enjoying the video, I highly suggest you subscribe and leave a like as well, as it really helps me out. If you want to support me even more, please consider becoming a member. My lowest tier is only $1 a month, and I'd really appreciate it. Thanks so much for your support. Moving on, at level 60, you'll learn Dissipation. This will desummon Eos, give you 3 stacks of Aetherflow, and increase your healing magic potency by 20% for 30 seconds. Dissipation is good for either buffing your own healing, if you need to dish out heals, or to spend the extra stacks on more energy drains. Just keep in mind that using Dissipation denies you use of any of your fairy abilities, including Seraphism, for 30 seconds. And if you use Dissipation with Seraphism active, it'll instantly end Seraphism. At level 74, you'll learn Recitation. This will allow you to use Excog, Indom, Adlo, or Sucker with no Aetherflow or MP cost. It also ensures the healing from these abilities are crit heals. This ability is fantastic, especially if we're using it with Adlo in order to guarantee a crit shield. Recitation is also commonly paired with your level 56 ability, Deployment Tactics. This will spread the shield of your target to nearby party members. If you pair Recitation with it, you'll be giving everyone a big shield. You can make this even crazier by pairing it with Protraction, your level 86 ability. This will increase the maximum HP of a targeted party member by 10% and increase their HP recovery from healing actions by 10% as well for 10 seconds. Pairing both Recitation and Protraction, you can get a really big shield on a party member, usually a tank, and then spread that shield to everyone by using Deployment Tactics. Recitation is really good for helping tanks with mob pulls or tank busters, with Adlo shields or Excog, helps shield the party from hard-hitting raid-wide attacks or damaging mechanics with Deployment Tactics or Sucker, or to help heal the party quickly with Indom. You can also use Protraction to help with healing on a tank during mob pulls, tank busters, and even auto attacks. At level 90, you can use Expedient. This will reduce damage taken for yourself and nearby party members for 10% for 20 seconds. It'll also apply a buff called Desperate Measures that allows you to sprint for 10 seconds as well. Expedient is really good for mitigating raid-wide attacks or damaging mechanics, or if you need to help everyone get away from an AoE fast. Scholars can also raise party members using Resurrection. This spell has a long cast time, so make sure you're safe before using it, or use Swift Cast for it. Overall though, I think Scholar is pretty cool. I don't play this shop too often, but I think it's really fun. I kinda wish I got a bit more in Dawntrail, but Seraphism is really cool, and I hope they explore this concept a bit more in 8.0. But yeah, that basically sums up Scholar, so bye!